Hi BookTube, it's Amy. I'm here with the third chapter of James Milne's book, A London Book Window, and this chapter is on the decay of heroes. So Milne writes, "It is time that something frank and honest were said about the hero and the heroine of the present-day novel. They are not what they were, and one can say that without recalling the immortal deliverance about Punch. He's not what he was. And the answer, no, he never was. Truly the state of the English hero of English fiction is far from good, and the lady in the case is equally doubtful. Do you ever nowadays hear anybody speak of a story hero as if he were an actual person? People used to do that, you know. Heroes were real half a century ago when the great Victorian writers were in command. Charles Dickens and William Makepeace Thackeray were the parents of imaginary children who, like the soul of John Brown of Osawatomie, still go marching on. Has anybody within easy memory created a large, red-blooded, all-appealing hero who goes marching on or off? Or does anything else that much matters? No answer. There is none, because the average novel of today practically has no hero, unless indeed the person who writes it. We know, or at all events a proverb tells us, that no man is a hero to his own valet. That leaves lots of openings for heroes, because so few people have valets. Anyhow, this hole in human nature, always a frail and tender plant, is filled by the fact that every author may be a hero to his own novel. The clumsiest way of setting about this is to take your own unprofitable story, or as much of it as will stand print, and a jacket in colors, and bravely write it. Bravery is needed because often enough there is nothing else. You must, of course, invent a little if, unlike George Washington, you can tell a lie. You must also embellish a good deal. But that is easy because we are all embellishers now, certainly when we are not embalmers of the literary corpses of others. You will begin to see how it is that with a process of this sort going on, the fine old heroes of other days has been reduced to cinema and ashes. The true hero never could have many brains, only brawn and beauty, and even they were not left to him. The poor fellow has become a neurotic, a spiritualist, a lady killer, anything you like, for his heroic qualities have fallen from him like withered laurels. He is no more a hero of the helmet and the toga, of the bold heart and the mind, of the slogan borrowed from Sir Walter Scott, who made it for real heroes, "Come one, come all, this rock shall fly from its firm base as soon as I." The modern hero is early in flight, but then he is no hero at all, only what on the stage they call a leading man, and our heroines, bless you, are in a very corresponding mess, though it makes one seem unchivalrous to say so. Here we come plump against the woman novelist, because she should have looked after the traditional heroine, and she hasn't. Not merely that, she mocks at her, jeers at her, calls her, when she takes any notice of her at all, old-fashioned and stupid. Well, maybe it is a true bill. But wasn't there something appealing in the young woman who never did anyone any harm, not even herself, in the middle-aged woman who was just content to be a wife and mother, in the woman of grave years who not only didn't mind being a grandmother, but was proud of it? They are all dead and buried, so far as the completely up-to-date 20th century novelist is concerned, for he only deals with the problems and troubles that sent them to their graves, where at least they have peace. A queer kind of young writer is about who thinks he can give a new form and a new expression to English literature, including the novel, for he makes no reserves. He puts his money on himself, and when the bet is honored by a guileless public, as it often is, he thinks the world well won. Perhaps, but that is the road of destruction for heroines, who, if they are to be worthy of the word, need the prayers of sincerity, not of the light-o'-love mockery. Nowadays a heroine is, in ordinary course, made a bit of baggage, labeled handle with care, left to shift for herself, and so does she fall and fall, both in true human nature and in true artistry, that nobody knows what her last state may be, except that it is bound to be much worse than her first, her original state. Where rests the secret of all this wrongness about the hero and the heroine of today's generally accepted novel? Why, in two things, which are that never were such a set of smart amateurs writing the English novel, and that, as a consequence, It is mostly a novel without plan or plot or characterization. The amateur novelist has got to be abated wherever found, and he certainly turns up in strange places. Until he is abated, we shall be tortured with small originalities of style and manner, and heroes and heroines will merely be the puppets of their author's good conceit of themselves. Unfortunately, an English woman, as well as an English man, sometimes lacks the saving grace of humor, which is natural to the unspeakable Scot. And so that is a bit of a tirade against the shifting of leading characters in novels. And you can certainly imagine that looking at older writers, where most novels did have a clear hero who had good intentions, good motives, was chivalrous. In the case of a female character, they might be, upheld by their purity and virtue. That shift to the 20th century novel, where characters tended to reflect less of an archetype and more of the characteristics and faults of a real human being, you could see how there could have been some debate over the shifting of what was upheld in leading characters in novels. And you can definitely see that Milne was firmly on the side of an older style of writing, as we've seen in the previous essay as well when he talked about happy endings. Milne was definitely very much a reactionary to some of the contemporary literary styles of his day, which I'm finding quite interesting here. So I will see you next week for chapter 4, which is titled Color and Reading. And we'll see what that's all about.